Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me on this podcast and listening to my review of Super Showdown. I actually just finished it today because I was out of town. So I'm going to be giving you my review. Now, this is a special episode because usually my podcasts are going to have three parts. They're going to have a review of the pay per view. They're going to have a how to fix segment where I or a guest look at a character, a storyline, something within WWE, and we'll discuss how to fix it, and also a what if scenario. So this episode is going to be special just because it's going to have this Super Showdown review. And then there's also going to be one following this that's also a special, and it's going to be an entire episode dedicated to a question that was asked to me, which was, could an invasion angle work in today's WWE? So I'm going to explain why it could, and I'm going to do a little fantasy booking on how I would do it. And then following that, we're going to do a review of Evolution. Then our how to fix segment will be on WWE's product in general, and then we'll also have a what if scenario involving Asuka's streak and it being ended. So make sure you check those out. At the end of this video, I'll put how to contact me on Twitter if you have any ideas for how to fix or what if segments. More than welcome to looking at those and covering those. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll get right into Super Showdown. Overall, I like the show. I like the opening package. I thought it made it feel like a special event rather than just a glorified house show. I thought that the crowd was really great throughout most of the night, and I thought the venue, I guess it's a rugby field. I thought the venue was really nice. I also like what they did with the lights, how they had it blue on one side and red on the other to really sell the fact that it is a joint show. So before I get into my actual match reviews, things I picked out, and I'll do just a simple thumbs up rating. 2 thumbs up means it was a great match. No thumbs up means it was a poor match, and in between. But let me tell you a little bit about myself because I'm sure you're wondering who I am. Again, my name is Boomer Isles. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I got into it at a really young age, thanks in part due to my uncles. In the early 2000s, I actually did go to wrestling school. I worked as a referee and a referee. A referee and a wrestler for about 5 years until I had a knee injury and I couldn't continue. I've gone back a couple times and wrestled, but my last match has been about 2 years. 2 years ago, thanks to the training and the trainer I have, I did get to share the ring with some top stars of a few years ago and today, including the Monster Abyss, Wildcat Chris Harris. I refereed for ODB, Tracy Brooks, Helena Heavenly, and a match that I referee involved Dean Ambrose. So I've got to see a lot of good wrestling close up, and Carl Anderson, who I refereed for more times than I can remember, who always made me laugh when I wasn't supposed to be, just because he was so funny in the ring. But so I've seen really, really good wrestling up front. My trainer, Roger Ruffin, was a former WWF referee. He did a couple of the WrestleManias that were around this area, and I learned so much from him. I know I learned what goes into a good match and what makes a good match. So I have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. But I'll go ahead and jump in. As I was watching it, I wrote down a couple notes. I did think it was funny in the introduction, Cole almost saying it was a pay-per-view and kind of retracting, because I guess the Crown Jewel is going to be considered a pay-per-view, but this wasn't for some reason. So the first match was The Bar against New Day, Kofi and Xavier Woods. I thought that match had a really interesting way they did the cutoff, and they kind of fooled me because since the cutoff was so soon, I thought it was going to be a really short match, but it actually um, turned out that it went a little longer, although I felt it had a rush pace the entire match, a couple sloppy exchanges. One thing that I wrote down as a positive is Xavier Woods didn't overwork the crowd during the heat. And if you're not sure what that is, that's just where the bad guys do a cutoff, and then they especially in a tag match, they'll get over on the good guys, and that usually leads into a hot tag. But one thing you'll see a lot is while the heat's going on, the babyface on the apron is constantly getting the fans up, and the problem with that is if if the fans get up and they're expecting that hot tag, even though they don't know what it is, they're just expecting it, um, and they don't get it, they kind of go down, and then he gets them up again, and they go down, and by the time the hot tag, and I think this is what happened later in the night, but the hot tag can be flat. But what Xavier did is he didn't start really getting the crowd up until right when the hot tag was going to happen. So the crowd was really hot for it. Um, I did think that the double heat was unnecessary, and what I mean by that is in a standard tag match. Um, there's one heat, so the heels will cut off the baby faces. They'll go to work. It'll lead to a hot tag, which will go right into the finish. However, in this match, there was a double heat. I think for an opener, it's unnecessary. I think your opener should be short, sweet, and concise. And I thought the hot tag just kind of took the crowd out of it a little bit, because they were up. They wanted to see New Day take over, and right again they were cut off. So I thought that hurt the crowd. I loved the finish. I thought it was done really well, and my final result for that is one thumb up. So match two was Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. I was actually texting my friend while I was watching this, and I told him it was a really good match, and he said he thought they dropped the ball on Becky turning heel, and I don't think that's the way that they're presenting her. I'm getting kind of like a Stone Cold tweener vibe. Yeah, honestly, I think they're trying to make everyone shades of gray instead of a good guy and a bad guy. I think they're trying to make everyone down the middle, which won't work because you have to have someone to cheer for. And if everyone's presented as um, the same morally, sometimes they break the rules. Sometimes it's not going to work. But irregardless, that that bump by Charlotte Flair to the outside when Becky pulled her, man, that was scary. Looks like she got her legs tangled up. She was able to come out of it and didn't break her neck, but it looked bad. Um, I really liked the head scissors into the arm bar. I thought that was really well done. I've seen some of those where they look really sloppy, but I thought it was a great match. Good false finish. I thought towards the end it got a little sloppy. I didn't write down the actual spot, but there was something towards the end where it looks like they kind of lost where they were, or they didn't quite come together. It was a little sloppy, but again, I thought it was a really good match. Definitely one solid thumb up on that one. The third match was Bobby Lashley and John Cena, who looks so weird with his hair. I don't know if it's implant. I don't know. It just doesn't look right. He definitely looks better with the high end height. Yeah, it's just really odd against Owens and Elias Sampson. Um, I had a hard time even watching the video package. Um, I guess, or I'm sorry, not the video package. The opening. It was kind of it kind of took the heat out of all, the interests. Um, I have a hard time getting into this. I don't really understand it. I think they've completely misused Bobby Lashley since he came back. And Cena's still a huge name, but they kind of neutered Kevin Owens. And then Elias, I like Elias. I didn't the first time I saw him in NXT. I didn't really understand it, but I think he's really grown. He's very entertaining. But he needs a singles feud against an established superstar where he comes out on top to kind of push him up the card. There was a botch earlier. I didn't write down what the move. I think it was a Luthez press where they just they missed their mark and it didn't look good. The match overall was pretty boring, and the finish. I don't know what the sixth move of Doom. It's garbage. It doesn't look good. The attitude adjustment is definitely a better finish. But yeah, it was just it was just a weak match. So the result got 0 thumbs up. Match 4 was the Iconics versus Asuka and Naomi. First of all, they have completely dropped the ball on Asuka. I knew of her from Japan. My friend wrestled over there for a long time, so I kept up with the Pure Arisu movement over there. So I've seen her many times. I think that Asuka is pound for pound the best, maybe the best wrestler behind AJ. Either gender. She's just fantastic. Her facial expressions are fantastic. Her timing is fantastic. She was born to wrestle. There's no doubt about that. Naomi too. Naomi does a lot of things that a lot of female wrestlers can't do. The springboards, I've never seen. I may be wrong, but I've never seen a woman hit a springboard without hitting the bottom rope to get up to the top. That and her plancha last night looked excellent. Naomi's really good. It's just that hot and cold push that it kind of you forget about Naomi. I love her interest. I love the glow. I think it's interesting. But she's been pushed and stopped and pushed and stopped so much that you kind of forget about her. There was towards the end, there's a German suplex that looked very rough. And I think that botch and them kind of messing up and having to get back together, it made the hot tag look weak. And the finish was okay. The result is 1 thumb up on that one. Match 4, which was undoubtedly match of the night, was Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. AJ Styles and Samoa Joe also was one of the reasons why I watched TNA for as long as I did, because they're just. I mean, AJ Styles is undisputably the best wrestler in the world. He's the best bumper. He's tacked on so much mass, and yet he can still do everything that he's done. He hardly ever botches. Everybody botches. It's just going to happen, but you hardly ever see him botch where it's completely his fault. So this match, as soon as I saw they were coming out, you're in for a good match. A couple notes I made. Joe's punches are absolutely amazing. It looks like he's trying to knock you out with every punch, and in today's wrestling with so many pulled punches and so many crappy punches, his punches look like if you're not knocked out, then you're superhuman, because they are incredible. Another one I wrote down, which is kind of funny. Is there a move or a bump that AJ can do where he doesn't do the inside out bump or the flip bump? I mean, those are they're not crazy hard, But going through wrestling training, I watched a guy try to do who was very athletic. I watched him try to do that the inside out bump time and time again, and for AJ to do that literally out of bumps that you don't have time to do it is amazing. The backflip bump off the clothesline just looked incredible. AJ's a superstar, and I think they're pushing Samoa Joe the right way. One corny thing I did see in the opening is when they had Styles on his mailbox. Obviously, his name, and the thing about it is WWE is more transparent now than it ever has. When someone gets suspended or released, they tell you their real name. Anybody with a computer knows his name was Alan Jones. And that's another thing leading up when he was calling her Wendy Styles. I mean, if you're going to be that open to your audience, if you use his real name, if Samoa Joe called her Wendy Jones, and if the mailbox said Jones, it would seem that much more realistic. So that kind of lost it for me a little bit, but still, great match, absolutely great match. I thought there were great falses. I thought there was a great finish, and for it being a no DQ match, I didn't think they overused the weapons at all. That's one of my biggest gripes with hardcore wrestling is there's so many times where there's absolutely no build up, or B, from bell to bell they're just taking weapons. I thought every weapon that they used meant something. So that's really good. I thought it was 2 thumbs up. I thought it was the best match of the night, and there were really the only close contender was Triple H Undertaker for the nostalgia fact, and the Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair match were the only ones that even compared. So next we had the Riot Squad versus Bella Twins, Ronda Rousey. When Sarah Logan was in the ring, I believe she was in there with Nikki Bella. There were just some weird exchanges. It kind of looked like one of them got lost and they were just grabbing a hold and trying to figure out where they were. But right before the hot tag, it got really weird. The match was kind of clunky at times. It wasn't smooth. That being said, Ronda Rousey is a bona fide star. Again, going through wrestling training, there were people that came in and right away you said, that person could be very good. Once they get seasoned, once they get a lot of time between the ropes, once they work with some veterans who can really help them bring out their gift. But Rousey is a star. Obviously she's been very, very protected, but she gets it. She gets the aspect, the art of professional wrestling better than a lot of people who have been there for a while and have like she just gets it. She was born to do this. She's a natural entertainer, and she has been so impressive. I think it's her love of professional wrestling that she didn't come in. I haven't heard anything about her acting like a diva. I won't do this. I won't do this. From what I can tell, she's open to everything. And boy, that armbar she does, it looks like it breaks her arm every time. Obviously, you can see that they're bending it so it doesn't, but it looks vicious. Her judo throws, I think, are really cool. But yeah, Rousey's a superstar, and she's doing so good. But as I said, the match was clunky at times. I give it half a thumb up. The next match was Cedric Alexander versus Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy is one of the reasons that I started watching 205 Live again. His program with Mustafa Ali was just amazing. So first of all, and I've thought this since NXT, I liked his tag team. I think he was with someone called Blake. I thought they should have been brought up during the brand split. I thought they were a good tag team. It was around the time they were wearing like Iron Man inspired matching tights. I thought they had a really good look, but I definitely I think Buddy Murphy could be a huge star outside of 205 Live. He's got a tremendous look. He's very agile. He takes moves really well, and he doesn't seem to have any fear with some of the bumps that he was taking. Some of the things I wrote down. Um, I love the way that Buddy Murphy bumped on his on Cedric's I senton to the outside, um, because a lot of times you'll see they'll catch him and then they'll go down, and it kind of looks disingenuous. But he actually, as they made contact, he took a full back bump, and it looked incredible. It was smooth, it was seamless, and it was really good. I thought there were good false finishes towards the end, a couple times where the crowd really believed that was the end, and I think it was the right decision to put the belt on Buddy Murphy. I think he's a budding star, and I think that Cedric Alexander chasing the title will lead to some good matches. Hopefully, it'll be on the main show of WrestleMania because they're two really great athletes. Obviously, I know Cedric Alexander from when he was with Caprice Coleman in Ring of Honor as a CNC wrestling machine. So I've been watching him for a while, and I've always liked what he's done. So I give it 1.5 thumbs up. Actually, going back to what I said, that was probably the match that could rival AJ and Joe for match of the night. I thought it was really, really good. Then we have Strowman, Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre against the Shield. Um, the thing that I'll say about this is if the end zone, or I'm sorry, if the end game isn't a plan by Strowman, they drop the ball on him because no one wants to boo him, and it WWE drives me crazy at sometimes because they won't listen when it comes to guys with a lot of potential. They wouldn't listen to the fans when they wanted Daniel Bryan for the longest time. Same thing with CM Punk. Nobody wants to boo Strowman. They just don't. The character that you've created, and when he was on SmackDown and he was part of the Wyatt family, he was dull. As soon as you stripped him away and he started doing those jobber matches with James Ellsworth and others, and you started to see his personality, everyone fell in love with him. So you have a lovable, huge guy that people want to cheer. Why would you turn him heel? It doesn't make a lick of sense. It really doesn't. So a couple things. I thought it was good, but obviously it was predictable. I thought the part where they were kind of foreshadowing Ambrose's heel turn, I thought that was really clever the way they did it. And the reason that I say that it was predictable is you knew what was going to happen. You knew that Strowman was going to get taken out, and either Ziggler or Drew McIntyre were going to take the pinfall, which doesn't make sense. I mean, I know when you watch wrestling, you're supposed to suspend your belief. However, if you've got a guy who can withstand being crushed in a garbage compactor in a garbage truck, being hit head on while he's in a vehicle, and his feats of strength pulling down the Tron, all that, and he can't survive a single F5, which has happened I think twice to him with Brock. There was their match where it ended in one, and then when he was going to cash in, and all it took was a chair shot and an F5. It doesn't make any sense logically, and you can say, well, it's all part of the show. It doesn't really matter. The wins and loss and the titles don't matter, but the character matters. It's why people love Goldberg so much, because his character was he destroyed people. That's what Braun's doing, except for you're beating him all the time. That's why when they ended the streak on Goldberg, he lost his polish. Um, he's probably the only person that could have done that, and people not get tired of not a majority of people not get tired of seeing it. So I don't know what they do at this point, but they need to start being smarter about their decisions. You can't have a guy look like nothing can kill him, and then him be driven through. I mean, a a barricade that has a cover on it onto the floor, and him be done for the rest of the match. So so again, I thought it was very predictable. You knew the Shield was going to win, and you knew Braun was going to be taken out of the equation. So I give it one thumb up. Miz versus Daniel Bryan. The only thing I could say was that was unexpected. That's exactly what I wrote down on my sheet here. At first, and being someone who refereed a lot while I was going through my wrestling training, I think I refereed for a year and a half before getting my first match. The first thing I said was that Miz didn't kick out, and Charles Robinson was right to not pull the count. However, now with what I know now, and the fact that the show ended at exactly 4 hours and I think 12 seconds, I think that was the correct finish. I think that's how the match was supposed to end. And the reason I say that was again because of the show length. But on the flip side of that, they could have just told the next two matches to go long, or the next match to go long. I apologize. The next match to go long. But the fact that I think it was like within 10 seconds, they showed AJ watching the screen, makes me think that was the planned finish. Obviously, like I said, they could have scrambled. They could have told Undertaker and Triple H to go longer. But being someone who has refereed and knowing that you should never pull your count, I think that was the design finish. I don't think it was a botch. I could be wrong. So if that was if that was the finish, yeah, they shocked people, which is what I think they signed out to do. So I'm going to give that half a thumb up. And now we get to the main event, Undertaker with Kane and Triple H with Shawn Michaels. There was a really weird part where Triple H and Shawn Michaels got the table out on the outside, and Kane, instead of running to right where Triple H was, who was on the side of the table that was facing the entrance, he kind of went around him in between the table and the ring. It didn't make a lot of sense. So that was a really weird setup. Also, Kane is the worst backup ever, because there were times where they were double teaming Undertaker and he's just standing over there. I know he's just doing what he was told. However, he just said that kind of makes me look dumb, because it did. And then the single punch, literally killing Mike Chioda and no one coming out to help him, I thought was funny. I mean, he was. I obviously I watched this late last night, so I didn't go back and see how long, but it had to be 10 minutes, and them not calling for help for him, I thought that reflects really poorly on them, that their employee just got punched, is probably unconscious, and they're not sending help. But I thought the ref bumps were kind of unnecessary, but I thought both wrestlers took more bumps than I anticipated. Obviously Undertaker isn't in the best health, but I thought he moved around fine. Triple H still looks incredible. And then the other The other note that I made is Kane completely telegraphed the post match attack. The entire time they're holding um, Triple H and Shawn Michaels' arms. Kane's looking right at Undertaker, waiting for the signal. But other than that, I thought the match was fine. It was actually a lot better than I expected. I thought another quick squash like at WrestleMania, and that may have been because they had to go longer because of the match before, if that was indeed a botch. Overall, I gave that match 1.5 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it. I thought they could have planned it out a little better, not made Kane look so dumb. But there's not really much you can do about that. So my overall grade for Super Showdown, I give it. The way I'm going to do it is just 1 out of 5. One being a very poor match, and 5 being poor pay-per-view, and 5 being a great pay-per-view. I'm going to give it a 3. I thought it was a good pay-per-view. I thought there were some really good matches. Becky versus Charlotte, Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander, and AJ versus Samoa Joe, and Taker Triple H was really good too. There were a couple kind of stinkers, but that's going to happen. The one thing that I would say is they need to stop hiding 205 Live because the vast majority of WWE's universe isn't watching it. They're programmed to watch Raw and SmackDown. When I was growing up, I watched Raw, SmackDown, Velocity, Heat. I watched all the B shows because I was just completely obsessed with wrestling. But I'm a small majority in that, so I think that they need to get that back on TV. I don't think they need to segregate it or its wrestlers. I think one of my favorite things during the really good period of wrestling was when you would have Undertaker versus a cruiserweight, or a really big wrestler against a cruiserweight who could do a lot of crazy bumps. So I think they should bring that back. But like I said, overall, I give it a 3. I think it was a good pay-per-view, a lot of fun matches. I'm looking forward to Evolution a little more. I think the feud between Charlotte and Becky has been really, really good. It's been really well done. But overall, I enjoyed it. I just want to say a few things really quickly. Watch out for my next video, which is going to be how I would do a WWE versus New Japan Wrestling invasion. And also, I'm going to do, like I said, the Evolution, and I will be joined by Adam Robbins, who is the host of an upcoming YouTube series. It's called Chaos Bringer Productions, and I'll be there on when they talk about wrestling. But they're going to discuss all kinds of popular culture, video games, comic books, movies, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really good. They've got some guys on their crew that are really opinionated, and they don't mind arguing for hours. So I think it's going to be a riot. So check out for that. Again, that's Chaos Bringer. Also, if you would get me a follow on Twitter, and like I said, let me know if you have ideas for how to fix or what if scenarios. So I just thank you for joining me, and for listening to the first ever Flying Cravat podcast, and thank you so much.